Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create hollow haired invert in Photoshop, and we are starting right now. We're going to start by creating our Canva. In this case, I'm going to be using 1920 by 1080 pixels, and once you select your size, you want to go ahead and hit on create. Firstly, I want to start by importing the background. In this case, it's going to be this image right here. I want to hold down my shift key and resize the image so that it can fit into my Canva to something of this nature like this, and hit on enter from my keyboard. And once I have it like this, the next thing I can possibly do is to go ahead and bring in the main subject of our design. It's going to be this man here, and what I need to do is to hold down the shift key and resize it. Since we are mostly interested with the head part, I want to resize the image in the way that the head will be so big, because we are going to be working with the head. It's going to be something of this nature like this, and just place it in a position that is going to look good in your eye, to something of this size. Okay, and I want to drag it down a little bit to something of this nature. This is going to be okay. I want to go ahead and enter. Now what I can possibly do is to select this man and add a layer mask. Once I add the layer mask, I want to double click on the layer mask to be on this window right here. And once I'm here, I want to come back to select subject, wait for some seconds, and once the subject is being selected, you're going to be on your preview screen. What I need to do is to come back to this mount radius, and I want to increase it a little bit just to remove some of these edges. And once you drag it, don't overdo it. Firstly, you want to observe to see if it's okay, and I can still increase it to something of this nature. Perfect, something like this. Okay, and make sure the output is set to layer mask. I want to go ahead. Okay, what I can possibly do is to hit on this background, and I want to come back to adjustment and come back to levels, and make sure the adjustment layer is clipped to the background. I want to add some contrast to this background, and at the same time remove some of the highlights to something like this, and increase the midtone as well, thing of this nature. Okay, perfect. The next step is going to be this clipboard right here, this broken clipboard. You want to make sure that it's above everything. I want to hit on W for my keyboard so that I can have the quick selection tool and select the subject. Wait for some seconds. Once the subject is being selected, I want to come back to layer mask and mask it out just like this. Hit on V to have your move tool and resize this clipboard in the way you would like it, and place it in anywhere you would like it. But to make the work easier, you want to come back to the opacity and reduce the opacity so that you can be seeing the outline of the head. It's going to be something like this. I can hit on enter. I can still go ahead and increase the size of this bad man to something like this. We need mostly the head. Something like this is going to be okay. Hit on enter. Now select the port and rotate it in the way you're going to like it. Okay, and in this case, I can still go ahead and decrease the size and make it fit somewhere here. Still maybe decrease the size, and it can even be of this point and decrease the size to make it fit here. I can as well rotate to make it to be like this. Okay, there's no rules in doing this. In any way you do it, you're going to come out with a good result. I can still go ahead right now and resize it. Maybe put it somewhere between here and decrease the size as well to something of this nature. I want this hand to be close to the whole clipboard, and I want to hit on enter. What I can possibly do is to go ahead and increase the opacity to be 100 again. Ctrl+0 to have the full screen. Hit on Z to zoom into the image so that you can be seeing what you're doing. So of this nature, okay. And it's like this port is not properly set. I can still go ahead and try to decrease the size a little bit to something like this, and then paste it here. Okay, something like this is going to make sense. And now hit on enter. What I can possibly do is to select these clipboards and hit on B for my keyboard, and make sure you're selecting the mask. And I want to right click and select hard round brush. You can also as well use the soft round, but I prefer the hard round brush. And make sure your foreground color is set to black, and I want to increase the size of my brush to something like this. And firstly, I want to remove this part right here, okay, to something like this. And now I can hit on Z again to zoom into the image, hold down my space bar to move it around, and hit on B again to have my brush tool and decrease the size this time around to something of this nature. I want to go ahead and remove this black part. I want to remove the black part, and I'm going to be doing it in this way. There are many ways to remove it, but this is the most simplest way you can remove the black parts. Okay, we just need only the opening, and with this orange color, anything with this black, we don't need it. Okay? You can just go ahead and remove it with your soft round or your hard round brush. okay, to something of this nature, and come to this side as well and remove this part. Come over here and remove this part as well. Just be precise with your brush, okay, and come back to this side and as well remove these parts. Ctrl plus Z to undo it. Come over again and just take a walk around, something of this nature. Okay, here I can even decrease my brush, decrease it again, and just come over to this part right here and remove this part as well, to something like this. I'm here and remove this black part as well. Okay, see here, I don't want the opening of the pot to be touching the finger. It's going to be something like this. Okay, it's very close to the finger and that is okay. And I want to remove this part as well. Okay, to something like this, to something like this. Here I want to be careful to have the round edge, and I want to remove just like this. Ctrl plus Z, do it again, something like this. Okay, I'll still go ahead and remove this edge and remove this sharp end as well. Okay, so something like this. And what I can possibly do is to select this main man, hit on V to have the move tool and select this main man in question. You want to select the layer mask, hit on B to have your brush tool and make sure the foreground color is black as well. Increase the size of your brush. It can be hard or your soft round. In this case I'm using the hard round brush, and I want to remove this part. Be careful not to overdo it. Okay, and remove it to this part as well, this part. Okay, we're going to be left with something like this. Now if I hit on Ctrl plus 0, it's going to be like this, and Ctrl plus 1, it's going to reduce in size. We're going to come up with results like this. And for us to blend the two colors together, you want to select this broken pot. Okay, once you have it, you want to come back to the blending mode and come back to the luminosity just like this. Now the color is perfectly matched together. And now it's like this finger is off the canvas. What I need to do is to select my background and make sure I lock the background. Okay, I want to draw a rectangle above this pot and this man so that I can move it around. I want to drag it a little down to something of this nature, to something like this. It's going to be okay. And I can go ahead and unlock this background. And now what I can possibly do is to select the first layer. To select the first layer, I want to hold down my Shift, Alt, Control and press on the letter E. I'm going to have everything on a single layer. I want to right click on that layer and come back to convert to smart object. I want to convert to smart object and then come back to filter. We want to beautify our design. I want to come back to camera raw filter. I'm going to be here and I want to toggle over this button to have the before and the after. Firstly, I want to come back to the light. I want to decrease the exposure a little bit and increase the contrast to something of this nature. And the highlight, I want to reduce it to be negative like 31. And the shadow as well, I want to make it to be at least negative 21 as well. I don't need the white. I want to as well add more black to my design to like negative 27, okay, or even increase to like negative 31. And the color, I don't need the color. I want to come out to the effects. Here is very important. I want to decrease the texture, okay, to make it more smooth, and then come back to the clarity to make it more dramatic. I want to increase it to like maybe 84, okay, to make it more dramatic like this, and increase the texture as well. What I can possibly do is to add some vignette to something like this, not too much. And now I want to come, I don't need anything from the curve. I just need only the color mixer. I want to come out to the color mixer and choose the green to make our green to pop a little bit and add some saturation and some luminance. And as well, let's increase the color of the shirts. I want to go ahead and select blue, increase the saturation to something like this and some of the luminance, okay, to give it that dark blue color. And the last thing I will need to do is to come back to the details and just increase some of the sharpening to something like 11. And like this is going to be okay. This is the before and this is the after. I want to go ahead, okay. And now this is the design that we just make, and I believe it's very simple. You can go out and try it on your own. On my own, this was the one that I created. It was something like this, and I also have another variation again of it. It was something like this, and the second one is another variation of something like this. You can create it in many ways, and for this video we created something like this. This is what we created for this video. I hope you learned something from this video. If you do give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so that whenever I upload a new video like this, you will always be the first person to be notified. And having said this, I'm going to see you in the next video. Cheers. Peace out.